Well, this is one of the fascinating things about the whole cohort of direct-to-consumer companies, you know, the Dollar Shave Clubs and all those. And while some of them have broken through and created an enduring model, an awful lot of them have found, yeah, it's really easy to start. Casper would be an example of this, you know. So Casper paved the way for the mattress in a box business, and now there are literally 172 mattress in a box companies. So it's easy to start, but very hard to scale.
Yeah.
So if I come back, go ahead.
One example, Eve told me about an example, I think it was 1 day or 2 days ago, that it's not so easy to do this pivot fast. What was the example, Eve, that you mentioned of a company, an established company is trying to pivot now?
Don't remember.
Oh, it was the bookstore, Payot, I think?
Payot, yeah. It's a bookstore in Switzerland, and they tried to pivot because of the crisis from libraries, from bookstores to e-commerce. And they tried a couple of days and they stopped because they were not able to put in place the processes to execute.
So the interesting thing is that if you never built up these capabilities to explore, you can't do it overnight. And that's what a lot of companies seem to be discovering.
Yeah.
And also for Ping An that Alex mentioned, they were also ready to fail on some of their experience.
I was going to ask about that. How did they, I mean, we know that a lot of times, you know, successful innovation is in many cases a numbers game, right? I mean, you have to have so many things you're tying. And I always like to say, you know, really fantastic ideas and really awful ideas look almost identical at birth. It's very hard to tell which is going to be the one. So were there some specific things they did to overcome this fear of failure?
So the big one is that, you know, and this is why established companies are so bad at it. The important one is to understand that the world of execution is different from the world of search and exploration. And the ratio that you just mentioned is the most important. You need to accept that you can't pick the winner, and you need to accept that you're going to fail a lot. And, you know, this whole lean startup movement actually did one dangerous thing. People think they can pivot themselves to success. If I just pivot and search for long enough, I'm gonna win. But the reality is a little bit different. You actually need to work more like a venture capitalist. You need to invest in several projects and then kill them very quickly and only invest in those that succeed. Because as you said, at the beginning, they all look great, right? There's nobody in the company who's gonna, you know, pitch a stupid idea. They all look great. And you know what the ratio is for one outlier, how many projects you need to invest in? It's actually 250 to 1. So you would have to invest in at least 250 projects to get a 50x return. Now, that probably doesn't even mean a multi-billion-dollar revenue business. So the ratio is probably even bigger. So those numbers come from early stage venture capital. Then the small companies say, or the business units say, yeah, but we can't do 250. Well, if you do 10, you probably, you know, just produce 10 million or 50 million in revenue. But if you want to create another multi-billion-dollar business, you need a large ratio. And it's not about carrying 250 or 500 projects for long. You actually need to kill them very quickly. So a good example is Bosch. They invest in, over 3 years, it's a public example, they invested in 169 projects, 100,000 euro, 169. But after 3 months, they kill 70%. So they only invest in 30%. And then from those 30%, they go 6 months and then they only invest in again, 30%. So you weed out the projects that shouldn't get more money. So today in many companies, we still have those zombies, right? Walking around. So they do that extremely well. They do that extremely well.